제 이름은 조태영이고요. Fortum Energy에서 지금 프로젝트 매니저로 일하고 있고요. 그래서 솔라 관련해서 이제 commercial side installation and also compliance design 그런 걸 다 이제 총괄하고 있는 프로젝트 매니저입니다. Yeah, so I moved from Korea to New Zealand when I was 11. I think my interest in renewable energy and also sustainability started when I was around 12, 13. I saw a documentary on polar bears and how the Arctic is just melting and polar bears are losing, their habitat. And I think I was very moved by that and I wanted to do something about it. So I think since when I was really young, I just grew up in New Zealand thinking about how I can contribute in that way through renewable energy, basically. I saw that the renewable energy is a growing field in the future and it's going to be something of really important value and an industry as a whole. So when I was choosing uni back in New Zealand, I chose chemical engineering, which was actually completely opposite because chemical engineering does oil and gas. So I had no idea. And then I went in, completed the course because I didn't want to stop in between. I think I worked in New Zealand for a few years. I was actually working as a carpenter. It's a construction work, which was very exciting as well. But then I wanted to explore and also pursue my dreams in sustainability and renewable energy. So in New Zealand, in terms of renewable energy, there's very limited amount of jobs that they have. So I think what I decided to do was move over to Australia because I heard that they have some good renewable energy courses, and I ended up signing up for UNSW. Yeah, so basically I had a bachelor's degree, right? And I finished my thesis, so that was a plus for them. But to be really frank with you, I don't have a good GPA. My GPA was pretty bad. I think I just barely passed, but I think for the international students or because it's such a growing field, they accept pretty much a lot of people who have a low GPA. So funny story, I applied to Western Australia, which is a pretty low ranking school. Yeah, and then I applied to UNSW, I applied to I think Monash as well, and I applied to ANU. And at the time I was I wish I went into ANU because it's the best school, right? So I'm gonna go to ANU. But they looked at my GPA and they rejected me. And I was that's a bit unfortunate. But into the university ranking as a whole, the engineering school in ANU is actually not that great. So for me, it was actually a blessing in disguise. UNSW accepted me, and then I was I'll go here instead. But found out that UNSW is actually the best engineering school in Australia. So I was you know what, this is the best thing. So yeah, it was very funny how I landed at UNSW, but I think Australians and also, the Western mindset is they don't really look at the schools that much. And that's what I found. It's more important to do what you actually want to be doing in the future rather than seeking out for the best unis, to be honest. It was a big transition for me to actually move over from New Zealand to Australia, but I think I made the right move. Yeah, so in UNSW, there's two strands that you can actually go towards. First is photovoltaics, and then second one is renewable energy. I was more interested in just the general consensus of renewable energy is all about, rather than just focusing on solar, which is photovoltaics. So I chose to do Masters of Renewable Energy, which actually falls under engineering science. And then in engineering science, I majored in the renewable energy. So that's a coursework master's, which means I don't need to do a thesis statement because I did my thesis back in my bachelor's. And I think one of the benefits of actually choosing renewable energy is you get to see a broad perspective of all the the renewable energy technologies out there. So what I learned in UNSW was studying not just solar, but I studied solar, wind, geothermal, biomass, and also the modeling side as well. Basically, you learn about a lot of technologies and also you have a very wide field that you can actually go into. So I think that was very beneficial. And also I think you learn about the electricity market and also how the electricity trend is going as well. And it's one of the best courses that you can take in UNSW. I think it was ELEC 9714 and 5. But anyways, that's very specific. But yeah. But I think in not just engineering, but I think generally, the education in UNSW and also in Australia, what they really focus on is having a proactive approach into your learning. Because you're not there to graduate. You're not there to get a piece of paper. One of the feedback that I've got was that Asian students don't ask questions. That is such a challenge even for the professors. Because not only they don't learn as well, but the professors have a hard time actually teaching them what they actually need to learn. So I think one of the challenges that I had to come over was really being proactive in my learning. Because I'm not there just to gain good grades, but I'm actually there to learn what I'm gonna do in the future. So for example, like attending the tutor and, like preparing for the classes, and also, like asking the right questions and like building that relationship with the tutors and the professors. I don't think there should be any difficulties in actually passing and graduating, to be honest. So I guess background knowledge in science is a must. Math is something good to get over and done with as well. They have like quite a bit of like stats and also calculus that you need to do, and also like a physics knowledge that's really helpful. But they usually all have it covered. So like they give you like 1 week to actually learn everything that you should have learned. It's a good introduction for the first week, but to catch that up, I think it takes a bit of time. So if you can, finish some courses on like the basic maths, stats, and also the physics, I think that'd be really good. Yeah, so I'm currently a project manager in solar installation. There are many paths that you can take after coming into UNSW. I think a lot of them divide into different sectors, but first, when I started off, I went into modeling. So that was very laptop heavy job, no on-site work, good working environment, and also you can work from home as well, which is a plus. But I think modeling can get quite boring quite easily unless you're in like a consulting. Major ones that you can actually go into after graduating is consulting and like modeling. So that's join in with the major like the consulting companies, like the engineering consulting companies. That's one way. The other way is, I guess, sales actually as well. So sales and support. A lot of them actually go into sales and support in terms of selling the system, signing off for like a commercial deal. If you're more of outgoing and you can actually sell something, that's like a really good way to go, and that brings you a lot of money. Third one is, I think, typical like engineering jobs. So basically, you have a lot of the technical skills you learn from UNSW, and then you use it on the field to design different systems. You're not actually designing the solar panels, but what you're actually doing is you're designing the optimal way of installing the panels on the roof or on the ground to gain maximum output. I think the fourth is actually just management. That's what I'm doing at the moment. So project managing. So basically, you get the contract, and then from the contract, you get to see what's required of what we are actually offering to the client. I manage the engineering and the designs as well, working with the authorities such as the distribution network. So we do applications to them. So a lot of social skills are required in project managing, and also like the stakeholder management. I do a lot of the client-facing expectation management and all that too. So it's a very interactive, fun job, project-based job. So it can get quite stressful when you're doing like project managing, but it's very rewarding at the end because you see the outcome. Wow, like it's a big job. I finished it. I didn't do it by myself, but I had all the support. I brought it together, and the product is there. So I think renewable energy is definitely a growing field. If you look at the energy landscape out there at the moment, what's happening around the world is that a lot of attention is actually on global warming and the climate change, which means that we are transitioning from very old set of energy system, which is based around coal, gas and diesel, over to now something that's more renewable, such as solar, wind, biomass, and like everything else, and like batteries. It's a very exciting change because it's a whole new infrastructure change. So this is a multi-billion-dollar industry right now that's being shifted from oil and gas into the renewables. For me, what really excites me is we have something that's so analog, like we have like wheels turning, and that's what keeps our lights on. But now we are transitioning over to something that's so smart. We call it like a smart grid, where you can actually interactively talk to one another. Whereas in the past, it's all run by these like generators and they need to manage everything. But now, let's say, for example, you can produce your energy on like this rooftop. And then you can actually talk to the grid. Hey, like, can I sell this energy back? I can use less to like gain money. That's all kind of like what's on the background. So we call it a energy transition. Labour got elected this time. So there's a lot of push for like the renewable energy and also like the sustainability and like environment that's going on. I think Australian market as a whole has something called ISP, which is Integrated System Planning, that's been issued by this body called AEMO, Australian Electricity Market Operator, and they aim for the energy transition. So what's the cheapest energy that we can utilize in the future, and they actually plan for that, which means a lot of the old heavy investments such as like nuclear, coal, everything else gets phased out like by like 2030. And then most of the energy system in Australia is going to be replaced by, like solar, wind, hydro, battery, and that's going to be the main source of energy that like we'll be getting. And this is not a small system that's getting upgraded at the moment. But I think at least till 2050, I think this energy transition will be something that's on the boom. Until we get like next round of like energy system that we find, like such as I think fusion is going to be like a crazy thing. But anyways, I think like there's a lot of funding that's coming in, and there's a lot of like international pressure to make the renewable something that's really of importance. So I think I'm just banking on that. I think renewable engineers get quite similar. But I think if you want to actually aim for like higher salary, there is a niche need for right now for power engineering. So basically electrical engineering, but it's more specific to power. They're requiring a lot more jobs in people who are working actually in the distribution network. So like for Queensland, it would be Energex, Ausgrid or Endeavour. They're looking for a lot of the power engineers, and I think their salaries can go up to like 300 grand just as an engineer, which is like pretty crazy. I think baseline for currently renewable engineers just starting out would be around 70 to 80. I think currently, usually with my friends, they have like 5 to 7 years experience. Their salary jumps up to about 120, 130. My job at the moment, project managing, is better salary, of course, because we work harder. Like as a junior project manager, maybe you're starting at around 90 to 100. And then it jumps up to 120, 130. If you're a senior, then it jumps up to 150 to 180. Australia is definitely leading in terms of like energy transition, purely because they have a bit of a different strategy in how they actually do their energy systems. All the countries in the world, a lot of them work with centralized energy system. For example, in Korea, there's Hanjeon, 한국전기공사, and then they actually manage everything. Whereas in Australia, it's more of a market-based electricity market. So you can actually have privatized companies who are supplying these data and also energy to a centralized operator called AEMO. So, basically, when you actually pay the money to the electricity company here in Australia as an electricity user, that gets collected into one pot and then that gets distributed into like the private companies. So what that means is they can do a lot more innovation because it's all privatized, right? So like it's not as rigid as this one party really taking control. So there's a lot of like competition, but at the same time, I think Australia, they are trying out something that's very innovative compared to the rest of the world. And as our company, we have a lot of branches around the world. So our main office is in Prague, and like they have different like major like solar infrastructure there. But Australia is more of a testing ground for them. Can this work? Like, is this going to be what the future holds? And we test a lot of them in Australia. And then if they're working very well, then they bring it over to the world. Australia is definitely leading in terms of renewable energy. For like the major works, so for example, if you're building a solar farm, that's a little bit of different story because you are held on this like multi-million-dollar project in like middle of nowhere. They actually require a lot of people to actually go there. But if you're doing like engineering consulting and also just like drafting and drawings, usually the base is in major cities. So, like Sydney or, somewhere else. But in saying that, if you go regional, you get more money. Like, there's a lot of money there, like the salary there is crazy, I think you can get about like 1.5 to 2 times your salary here in like the metropolitan cities. So, there's good and bad in that. But I think, it really depends on what you want to pursue. Like, if you're a bit more like people person like me, maybe pursuing on like sales or, project managing is really good fit for you. If you're more of an introvert and if you just want to keep it quiet and do your job like 9 to 5 and go home, maybe like engineering is pretty good for you too. If you want some more challenge, you can actually go into like consulting. If you want like change in your job like every like season, there's so many pathways, so can't really say like, oh, like this is the best fit for like the renewable energy. UNSW has a lot of people who are very passionate for climate change. If you are, then yeah, why not? I think one main advice that I give to all my high schoolers that I interact with is, what do you actually want to do? What's your drive? Like, what do you enjoy the most when you're doing something, My advice is to not just take a proactive approach in the university, especially for engineering field. They get you to do on-site works during your education, I think, which is very good, I think. So I think if you haven't yet, reach out to the companies maybe that you want to be working with, find out more about them, ask them for interviews. That's a really good approach. I actually reached out to a lot of the companies when I was actually studying UNSW, saying, hey, like, can I do some like research for you? Like, is there any like free research that you guys want to do with the university? Because I need to do the thesis anyway. And I actually like paid a visit to like one of the like the biomass companies in like the Newcastle, and then asked them, hey, like, do you have any problems that I can solve for you? And they were really keen to just like do this research project with me. But the problem they had was they were having like a contamination issue in the field. So they wanted to analyze what's actually happening in the factory itself. So I got the samples from there, and then the professor was like, wow, that's crazy. Like, how'd you win this? Like, I need to do this for a living. You just do it for like free, if you can be very interactive in terms of how you want to plan out your career and also in your study, I think that's the best advice that I can give you. Like, look for internships, like straight away, look for jobs, volunteering, just everything, just like bam, 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 and then I think that's what Australians look for. Best data, yeah, it's good. But I think if you're more a proactive person that always like seeks out opportunities, that's something that's very highly valued in Australia. 감사합니다.